Hello. Welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson. I'm a 6-time near-death experiencer as well as a spiritually transformative experiencer. I talk to people that have crossed over as well as ascended masters and even had encounters with UFOs and channeling ET beings and seeing cryptids such as fairies and other type of things. And so, welcome to the channel. And if you want to know more about me, I'm also an international evidential medium and Christ Chandler. You can go to southernbellmedium.com, and I do private readings as well. But today, do I have a delight for you? If you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, please do. But the guest I have today is Belle Letson. Now, on the first two, the first one, Bill discusses in episode 1 with him, the first part about his near death experience. In part 2, he goes into his Kundalini awakening and other things as well. But today, he's going to talk about twice in the jungles of Costa Rica that he had an ayahuasca experience. And he goes into that with us today. So let me tell you a little bit about Bill. Bill is a former fireman. He's had many fascinating spiritually transformative experiences, including a near-death experience, the ayahuasca, the Kundalini experience, seeing into other dimensions, ghosts, spirits, and also encountering ET beings. So today he's going to be talking about his twice ayahuasca experience and how he was jolted out of his body into a forced astral travel, and how that during this time that certain emotional wounds were healed and how that happened. It's really fascinating. And then he also talks about his third eye, his pineal gland, his third eye being opened up even more so after this experience with ayahuasca. And he broke through of his ego self where he began to actually see reality for what he thought it was, and it being an illusion. And it was broken down into white lines, just like what I saw on my 6th near-death experience when I had a reaction to one prescribed pill from a doctor. And that's what I saw too. So I found it very fascinating. He's the only one I found besides me to have seen it. Not saying others haven't, but that's going to be fascinating. As well as he talks about I've never really heard this before, but he said that he had a full contact Kundalini and what that is and what that means in the material world, like that we're living in. What is reality? So find out about these mysteries, watch the whole thing. And make sure you see all of his three episodes. It's 3 parts. And be sure to keep if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell so you get all the episodes. Like, share with your friends, and make comments. I do try to respond to everybody, and consider being a channel member. It really helps support me financially, as well as you can also make a one-time donation, but it really means a lot. So enjoy your time today with me and Bill. And I love what you said in the very beginning. We had the best pre-show. Matter of fact, if there's anything on this, I might have to save clips of it because it was just so good. I mean, we just started talking, and that's the part, honestly, Bill, I don't want to cry, but I didn't start this channel totally because I did it because Jesus told me to in August 2020. But the reason Tamara did it, because I wanted to be able to have a platform to show people like me and you, not just into years, but we're still living the magic, or whatever you want to call it. We're still living in that spiritual realm. We're still trying to figure it out. But there's something I call it magic. I don't know. But that's I can't explain, that's beautiful, like this interaction and finishing words and different things. That's what I wanted them to see, that the divine is working through us and it's
Right.
working through everybody watching.
It's
If you
working through
let it,
it's working through everybody.
yeah, just allow it and know what's happening. And
Yeah.
that's and allow the synchronicity and allow these things to happen. And this has been a great example of showing the synchronicity. Okay, so let's go back to this cool book that I'm going to get. So the DMT, the spirit molecule, you're reading it, you're seeing the same character. So are these characters, I say characters, lack of a better word, beings, are they, I mean, if you look, I hate to label things, but we got these human brains. Would it be more in the realm of higher level ascended ETs?
Yeah. You'd have to
Yeah.
say so, because they're kind of, we're in this amusement park or this movie, and they're kind of the
Mhm.
stagehands behind that are keeping it going.
Oh my God, I love this.
The caretakers of our experience. Um, So yeah, and they do. They
Dang
take care of
cats.
us.
I think this is hysterical. You know what I also think? I mean, again, I just did this to be of service. I didn't know it affect me in any way. Ugh. I don't know if that's stupidity or arrogance, but regardless, I'm now seeing that what I've, after talking to so many different types of people with specialties, not all near death experiencers, two things that have happened I didn't expect to happen. Okay. Number one is all the ETs, and I'm not talking about stuff on TV, I'm talking about the higher level beings. Okay. Some are etheric looking. You can see through them. They might be perceived as angels. They're not meat bodies. Okay. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I like mine. I'm just saying they're a higher vibration. They are, some of them are confused with angels. So they're also on our team. I personally think some of them are our family now, because I've talked to so many people and I've had personal experiences. I'm thinking, I think they're our family, and they're part of the team. And that the other thing is, do you know how many I have to commend you? If I had a bell, I'd ring it right now. I don't think I have a bell. Actually, I have a little chime, but I'll leave it. You were brave enough to talk about this. Do you know how many end of years have also had ET encounters? And right, a lot, and they won't talk about it. And I'll say, and I don't know why now, since I got deactivated, I know what people are, and I'll say, you had an NDE, blah blah blah. You've been on the mothership like me in my astral travel, and they're like, and you're this and that, and they go, how do you know that? I'm like, how do you think I know it? And I'm like, and then they go, how do you? I've never told that. That's part of my NDE, like yours. I've never told anyone. I said, why haven't you? Well, nobody asked me. And I said, well, I'm asking you. But because I think it doesn't fit that box, that narrative. You know what I mean? I think but we don't want, that's the whole point. We want to bust out of the box. We want to get out of the box because we trapped ourselves not to think. But I'm telling you, it's extremely common. I can't name names here. I'll tell you later. But great people, same thing. And I have had them. And I'm not. I don't think I'm human, and you probably are. What I'm saying is something bigger at hand here. I know that sounds very strange saying all that, but a lot of near death experiencers also have had experiences with spirits, with UFOs, and it's a lot more common. So thank you for being brave to say this, because I'm now speaking out in the same way, and people go, "Well, how can you have all those?" Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah, I think that the near death experiencer is, we all have thousands of lives. And I think the near death experiencer is waking up in this life. And that explains why they are so connected. And they're getting all this, this array of things happening to them. And it is your free will. You can, buy a case of beer and sit on the couch and try to forget it all.
Goodness.
And I
And
think
what
most of them do, and most of us do. And it doesn't matter because, there's no such thing as time. The universe is in no hurry. You'll meet your challenges again in some next life that's planned. But yeah, the
right.
near death experiencer who is waking up in this life, and they accept the challenge. They go out and seek, and they say,
Right.
I want to look into this. This is important. I'm being touched on the shoulder by the divine, and they're not afraid of those words, and they go and look, and then the whole universe starts cracking open in front of your eyes. And
I
that
agree.
I think that's what's going on. It's up to you.
I
You know,
agree. And I don't think you have to have an NDE. I just think it kind of jolts your ass into waking up. Seriously. But I don't think you have to, or something traumatic, even a death might could do it. But there's something, it feels it has to like almost jumpstart you to remember. But once you're on that path, I think I definitely agreed before. I know I got here saying, let's do this. Let's go time. And now, again, other than dark and creepy, which we know what that is, but most of the stuff, like 95% of it, it's just not that, but it may be different. And I'm just very interested in life, and of course working through, I always work with God and the divine and Christ. I don't worry about stuff. But I think that these experiencers are tailored to us because we're saying, I want more. I want more.
I
And so
want
people,
more.
I want more. And people go, why doesn't it happen to me? Have you said I want more? I'd like some more. Thank you. I'd like some
That's
more.
that is, you just said it. That is it. I want more. I don't want to let you guys down. I want to do my best. And you
I
don't
say that
have
all
to
the time.
you don't
Yeah.
have to want more. I had a buddy he talked to me, and he was, there was this disaster near where he lived, and he found himself, he was a ex-fireman, and he found it was a fire and a lot of people died, and he found himself in this environment, and he said, I could smell the carpet. There was smoke down to the ground, and he goes, I was in my bedroom, and all this stuff was going on at 3 a.m, and then the next day the news came out that it was a fire, and a couple dozen people died. And he goes, you're the only one who's got an answer that'll fit. And I go, dude, you know that environment. You spent your life in that environment, and your soul just went to those people that were looking for help, and you're
Yeah.
trying to sort it out. And he goes, well, that fits, but I sure as hell I'm not going to talk about it. And he left it. And that's cool. It's totally cool.
Okay, I got it.
He's a great guy. And and that was one of those things where he didn't want more. He's got stuff going on, and it's not bad. It's not,
Yeah, he's not forced to do anything. It's not a bad thing. You're
right. And
right.
you'll admit, wanting more and getting more and then talking about it, it's not always. You're going to lose all your friends. Your family's going to question
Okay,
your
come on,
sanity.
come on, preach. Come on, Bill. Come on, say it because this is truth right here.
That's
People go,
true.
oh, the weirder you'd see in the colors or whatever, or spirit people, or this or that, or alien, or whatever it is, getting communication, telepathy. Like, what is this? You're on my mothership. Whatever your thing is, you have to be in a community where it's safe to talk about it because people will think you're crazy. But if you're a normal person, whatever that is, most of your life where you can assess, normal things, and then when something this is odd, when that is. And so to me it's again, it's kind of glorious, it's kind of magical to experience these things. But it's true, there's trauma behind it. People that have had indies is trauma, pain, like physical pain. Sometimes you suffer. You look at, like, saints, like in the Catholic religion, the saints. I've had saints come to me and like, who are these people? And I realized they gave me their name. They suffered. They
Right.
really suffered. Okay. And
Right.
so it depends. I think there are certain people here that go, look, I'll just poke my toe in and I'm done. And then there's people like us, like, I'm jumping in the deep end. Let's see where this goes. How many brownie points do I get for this? Let's just get it done. Right. I don't have to go to summer school. Okay, good. Let's just jump in.
Sometimes we get pushed in the deep end.
Well, we wanted to be pushed in the first place because,
Yeah.
everything's free
Yeah.
will. But I do think there are certain people that you go, why isn't it me? And Bob, whatever. Well, there's that downside to it as well. And with I mean, you look at like you talked about Edgar Casey a lot. I mean, someone it just came up the other day that
Right.
someone was telling me, um, I think it was Sean from Hawaii. He was saying that he worked like, crazy amount of hours every day, and he died at 66 because he worked himself to death because he wanted to be of service to people. And most people that are, my observation, that have come back from NDEs, not all of them. Some can come back just as selfish as they were, if they were selfish. And some can come back unchanged if they choose to do that. But most want to be of service. And
Yeah.
so he had an NDE, Edgar Casey. He had a baseball to the bat. He got hit. He got hit as a kid. It was a head injury.
Really?
He had an NDE. Yep. I've also had head injuries, but yeah. And so, yeah, and that might have been the catalyst for him that that I said you need. I think look, it's not 100%, but this is just my opinion on this. I think you have to be there has to be a trigger. It has to be some kind of trauma of some sort. It may not have to be an NDE or something that jolts your ass into going on this, and it could be it has to be that something, and it can be physical or it can be emotional or it can be both. What do you think?
Well, that gets me right back on track, because the next thing I was going to talk about is this ayahuasca thing and this DMT thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that that a person who goes to a ceremony and drinks ayahuasca, that will kick, that will jolt you back on track, that the NDE didn't take or whatever, and you'll be led to that. And a lot of people will go back to an ayahuasca journey as being a kickstart to this awakening.
Got it.
And that's definitely what happened to me. So let's see, we were at the DMT thing, and I read the book. And so for a couple of years, I was just, there was this thing, I couldn't let it go. And I kept going to Costa Rica, mostly by myself and just driving around. And I had lots of adventures, but I got down to this place called Nasara, and I was staying at, I'd stay for months on these journeys, and they said there was a shaman that was coming, and he was going to have a ayahuasca ceremony out in the jungle, and I was like, oh yeah, I read this book, and this is something I want to do. Not having a clue how powerful that was. And I took it as folklore, and it'll be fun to talk about. And, little human me, I'm in charge. And when you do that, you're no longer in charge. You are tied and gagged and thrown in the trunk, and your higher self, this really expanded being that we really are,
Oh, okay.
starts driving. And that's what ayahuasca is all about. And it amends your perspective tremendously. So yeah, that's what I did. I had it in my head that this DMT thing was something I needed to do, and ayahuasca was, it's been around for thousands of years, and it's natural.
Right.
And because what I figured that was a safe way to go, because what Dr. Straussman was doing was he was injecting with an IV infusion. He was giving them
Yeah.
like raw, pure DMT.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so the whole DMT thing is you make it in your pineal gland, your third eye, and mostly that's we're asleep to that in these times due to whatever diet, or we don't really realize that every night we get a little few drops of that that initiates soul travel. So you take the pineal gland drops a little DMT onto the brain, and then you leave your body and you soul travel. And we visit all these other realms, all these other channels, frequencies.
Yes.
And then when you die, you get a huge splashes the brain with a huge amount, and you are rocketed out of your body. And that's what I experienced.
Mm.
And so that's what Straussman was doing. He was rocketing them out with this pure DMT. And
Man.
that's what people do now when they smoke it. They take
Yep.
a couple of hard hits, and the next thing they know, they are out of their body. And there's all kinds of entities all around us, non-physical living things, and it's a mind blower for them. So that's the
Right.
DMT thing, and it's naturally found in the ayahuasca. The shamans, the Native Americans, Central South America, they figured this out. They were told, it's downloaded by divine, how to prepare this. So when I went to my ceremony, it was with Taita Juanito and all his staff, like Eli and Leonardo and Mitra. these guys are angels walking the earth. And basically you show up at around sunset. It's usually a covered area out in the jungle. You're there with a couple of dozen people, and the shaman will, he'll get the story cooking around 10 or 10:30 or something, and then you'll all drink the ayahuasca, and it's an amazing, very sacred ceremony. And he'll, it's funny. It's in their firelight and stuff, and it's raining in the jungle, and he looked at me. He's obviously could see the energy around me and what I needed. And he gave me a nice, big, dark, thick glass of this brew. These guys are from Colombia, and they are no nonsense shamans, the Colombian Amazon. And I drank it down like a college kid, with his first beer. And
oh my goodness.
I thought this is so cool. This is wild. We're out here where everybody's, it's like you're wild in the jungle.
Yeah.
And I thought there was nothing going to happen to me because, I'm too tough. And it happened to me. It took about an hour, but, everything went pretty wild. The whole ceiling opened up, and there was this, you and I talked about the lights that come down, and they've got more to them. They're flickering. There was this giant spiral, and these lights were coming down. It was incredible lights, and they were dancing, or you didn't want to look away.
Wow.
And I don't remember what happened, but I woke up over my bucket. And with ayahuasca, you
get sick.
You get sick, and again, I'm not advocating this because it is rough. It is a violent.
It's intense.
It's a violent, intense gig, and I'm a fireman. I've been through it, and that was the toughest thing I've ever been through.
I don't know if I could do it, honestly. I mean, I just don't. But I know someone. I know someone close to me, a friend, that did it, and I mean, you can have a violent reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, not violent in terms of you may throw up, you may projectile throw, you may poop, you may I don't know. Just
You're
what
gonna
it
do
does.
all of them.
You're gonna probably do a lot of them, and it's just shame is out the window. But so what happened? So, but you journey. I mean, you're basically forced journeying, and so you were seeing. You went immediately right out in the cosmos, basically.
You know what? That is a really good term. I'm going to use that. Forced journeying. And I was
See, you're a natural shaman. I'm telling you. I just, I think you should keep this label somehow. It plays into it.
No, because I was not prepared for that. I didn't know anything about hallucinogenics. I drank light beer, maybe 2 beers a year. I was not ready for this incredibly powerful psychotropic hallucinogenic. It's the top end. I went from a Coors Light to ayahuasca. That's not a good idea. That's not a good idea.
No, that's that falls into really smart or really not aware. So
oh, you can do better than that.
Okay, so I don't know. Like I've heard enough about it. I'm like, no, I don't think I'm that tough. So now I know you don't have to do that, but it just jack starts your journey. So so what happened? You're out in the cosmos and you're basically out of your shell.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you the words you're looking for. It was a special kind of stupid.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, we talked earlier about that thing about your mind being changed and why am I doing this? Why I got it in my head like a year before that I have to do this thing that's in this book. And it's going to give me answers. It's going to give me answers as to why I was seeing the same things that these guys that were in this DMT book. How could my NDE be just like theirs?
Yeah, I want to know more about that. What'd you find out? I want to know more.
So I couldn't let it go. And so after I saw all the colors and stuff, I felt like I was being punched in the stomach, like somebody was working me over. And later, one of the guys told me that the ayahuasca goes in and it grabs all that energy that's stored in your liver and in your lungs and in, and it brings it to the stomach, and then you purge it out. And when I purged it out, it was like when I finally threw up, it was like a jet engine. It was just this roaring sound, and I couldn't believe it. And what came out of me was this smoke or gel energy type thing, and it went into the bucket, and then it came out of the bucket, and it went across the floor. And the shaman saw it because he asked one of his guys to sweep that out into the jungle. And what I heard later, that it was this is emotional baggage. This is energetic energy from our emotions, our intentions, our experiences.
Dear God.
Dear God is exactly what I said. There was some friends in the dark on the mats next to me, and I said, "What is happening?" And they couldn't see what I saw for some reason. But the shaman saw it, and I asked him, and he said, "Yes, I saw it." And you had a lot of energy that came out, and it's an interesting thing that those energies, they stay here in this earth plane. They're not part of the divine universe where we go. And so it makes sense. It makes sense that you're going to purge those from your body before you move beyond the physical and into the realm into the realm of the soul and into the higher self. And
that makes sense.
My consciousness for the next few hours was bouncing between those. I told my wife a few weeks later, like all of a sudden I just said, "Sweetie, it was like there was this scared little worm of a me, and then there was somebody else, there was another me that was saying, 'Calm down,' and then there was this me that was watching the whole thing, and I was bouncing between all these different positions that our consciousness, that is us. We are these amazing, huge beings. We're infinite. And I was bouncing between those. And the scared little me, the guy that was tied and bound, and he wasn't in charge anymore, which had always been in charge my whole life, 100% of the time, this earth personality, thought pattern, that's who we are. But that's who we think we are. And he was taken aside, set aside, and the divine me was in charge. And it was a lot of fear. Everything's instantaneous on the other side. If you have a thought, then it's now going to appear. And here it takes time for that to, it may take months or years for you to conjure up this hell thought you're dwelling on. But
this hell thought. I love this. Your hell thought, Bill. Yeah, but you're doing it again. This is exactly. He didn't say hell thought, but exactly what Jesus told me when I was on the other side. He says, over here, it's instant and it's quick. If you think, it happens. He said, over where on the other side on earth, he said, it takes a while to manifest. So you got to make sure it's positive, because it's just, whether you're thinking about it or not thinking, but you got to be mindful because it's going to manifest.
That's absolutely right. And it came immediately, and I collapsed into a realm of waves of fear. They were coming. I even counted it. There, every 4 seconds, there was just this wave of anxiety.
Oh my gosh.
Crush you to the ground.
Average state. That's probably how most humans are. Probably.
Yeah. And I had to tell myself, there's absolutely nothing. What am I? There's nothing. Nothing's bothering me. Why am I stuck in this? And, it went on for hours. And finally, one of the guys was Leonardo. He said, I'm rolling on the ground, drooling and moaning. And Leonardo said, you're going to have to find the courage to surrender to the softer side, to go with the kind voice that's trying to be in charge. And I did. Within 15 minutes, everything cleared up and it was bliss. And he used the right word for me. He said, you're going to have to find the courage to surrender to the softer side. And that's like a challenge to a guy. it worked. And yeah, it was after that, it was waves of overpowering bliss. I was vibrating. I was bouncing on the ground at times. But it was all blissful. So yeah, ayahuasca is it's no game. It's not a party trick. And in the morning, a lot of people, and I understand this, a lot of people are shell shocked after that, and they don't talk for days sometimes.
I can imagine.
But when I woke, when it started coming out of it, the sun was coming up, and they're bringing you fruit and stuff. I was like, dude, I was high-fiving these guys. I was like, dude, I can't believe you did. How did you guys do that? That was incredible. And they said that was a good sign. The shaman was laughing a lot, and he was saying, this is a really good sign. You broke through, and broke through the self. And that's the whole thing, is the self, the image that we carry here of being this self-righteous, self-important. And that's when, the self starts to disintegrate, and then you start to live for others. And this is, you and I talked about this life of service.
So beautiful.
These people that are, they're nurses, they're teachers, and they're cops and military. And these people are high up the ladder as far as awakening. And it's all about this selfishness that we conquer. Yeah. We go into a mode of service.
It's beautiful. Well, I think that from what I understand, there's been other civilizations that's what you did. You were service to one another. And, we could go back to say, oh, did they trade goats? I mean, I don't know, maybe they did. The point is that it was, you cared about one another and you would help one another. And that's just not the world we live in right now. However, I do know that there are people that, like yourself, that you take this, and I do too, that you do want to be of service. But it's also, finding that balance. I think I find with so many light workers, they sometimes overcommit, and I do too, and I get really tired. And I overcommit helping people. It's just something natural. It's like I can't stop. It's just something that I just really love to do. But it has its downside too. Even with Edgar Casey, the same thing. But
yeah.
Like I said, if that's a light worker or with my worst crime, fine. That can you overgive? I don't know. I don't, probably Jesus wouldn't think so. But at the same time, I don't think it's necessary to be a martyr. I think just being kind to others and being a part of this world also counts. And just doing the right thing when it happens that's really important too. So I don't think it's necessary to have to go into those areas. But not everybody's made for that. But I think it has to do with just looking at the person across from you and being kind to them. I had on Howard Storm, and he was talking about, I love his NDE, his story and all that, but he makes a point of talking to everybody and gets a smile from them. And, I can feel energetically if someone is sad or not feeling right. And I talk to them, if they're not feeling right or what have you, or even if it's this total stranger, doesn't really matter to me. And sometimes what I'll do is I do a little secret thing where I'll have the divine energy go through me and shoot out to my heart right to them. And I just smile, and then they just get filled with a lot of love. And it just makes me feel good that I could do that. And then they're like, I don't know what happens. So you're like really friendly. I'm like, yeah. Because we can do those kind of spiritual things with people too. We can just shower them with divine love.
Right. Yeah. So, I just go from there with the ayahuasca. I came back 6 months later and drank it again, and the Taito was surprised to see me, because he said 98% of the time people don't come back, especially what you went through.
Wow.
And I go, well, I can't leave it at that. That was such a powerful downside. And so yeah, I went through it. He gave me a little bit less, and I went through it again. Everything was wonderful. It was a you see the grids. They say you were talking about sacred geometry, and we're in
Yeah.
this like energy projected hologram, and I see grids all the time now, but that night was the first time the tree leaves were all connected. It was all radiant
Wow.
energy, and everything's connected. And you can see that on with ayahuasca. And but
It's
again, I'm not
beautiful.
advocating anybody to charge off and do it, because it's incredibly powerful.
Right. Yeah. No, it's not for everyone. It depends if you want. I mean, you obviously wanted it right then and to be like a rocket. But yeah, from what going on a spiritual journey and like what you're mentioning, not just with the ayahuasca, but just a spiritual journey and letting it unfold. Sometimes we're in places we don't know what they mean. Like I know there's light grids around the planet. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing sacred geometry more. I'm seeing connections of light to people and things all the time. I'm seeing this woven thing of light everywhere. It's like the spiritual web. And so I think that's what's holding it together is the grid consciousness. Now, one of my NDEs, I saw the furniture break down and everything. I'm thinking I had a reaction to a pill. I'm thinking this isn't good. And I saw everything just broken down into white lines and everything turned into white lines. Like they were, I was like, wow, this probably isn't good. And then I was out in the cosmos and it was so the structure that we have and we look at, and I think that's what you meant, it's not real, is that it can be decoded and broken down into light structures that hold it together. That the frequency is vibrating at such a high level, it looks like a solid, or it is a solid to our concern, our agreed upon concern. I don't know, it's some pretty deep stuff, but I did see that, and I feel like they're constructs. So if that's the case, and everything travels through these energetic light beams, if you want to call it, and we are a light beam, then that's why our consciousness, when we're thinking of someone, the other person generally knows that or thinks about the other person as well. So wouldn't it be great if we all decided to care for one another and think positive? It would change everything instantly. All that yucky
Yeah,
stuff
it
would
would.
just crumble, it would crumble away. All that yucky stuff we don't like, what does that mean? I don't know, hatred, evil, violence, stuff like that. It would just, if we all, the majority of said, hey, I'm sick of this crap. Let's just love each other, and let's care about one another. How? It's free. Just do it. It would just start crumbling. And I think that's what's happening now. I think people say enough is enough, or what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to love? I mean, in humanity, they're getting sick of games. I think that they just want to enjoy their life and love each other. And because of that, all these forced institutions and forced structures are coming down.
Yeah,
What do you think?
that's cool. I like what you said about everything shattering. There's this animated movie. It's semi-animated,
Mhm.
but it's called Undone, and it's about this. It's a 5-part series, and it's about this girl who starts waking up, and part of her waking up was everything starts speeding up, and then everything starts falling apart. And uh, my wife was telling me, she goes, "You need to watch this. You need to watch this." And I fell asleep, and then she goes, "You need to watch this." And I'm like, "Why are you so persistent?" And then it was a couple days later, my mom, she was still alive, and she said, "You're going to go off the road." And I'm like, "Well, okay, that's not a good thing to hear from you." And
Oh
so
my
I was,
goodness.
and like a day later, I was driving down the road, and all of a sudden, like you said, I started seeing light coming through the roof of a hard top car. And it's like, what's going on with the roof? Is it coming off? Uh, and then the other side of the car, the right side of the car, just started like falling away. And I was
Wow.
like, holy crap. It, I'm the illusion is breaking down, right in front of me. And I got to where
That's
I was
it.
going. I got to where I was going, and I said, "Well, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm sure it's not going to last." And I went in and I checked in with these girls at the desk, but the whole time it was like I was looking backstage behind the illusion of the material world. It was like there were parts of
Wow.
it were falling apart, and I could function. I mean, I went
Yes.
in, said good morning, and checked in, and I'm looking at them, and the walls behind them are, there were white. It was like this spider webs or something were behind there, really, and there wasn't really, the physical world wasn't really there. And it's a trip, and it's in this movie, and we
Oh
just
man.
described, you described your own thing.
Oh my God, that's cool. Well, see, consciousness, if we're all connected, divine consciousness, there's knowledge. It's just look, it's free.
Yeah,
If you tap into it, it's the same knowledge you get. I get, maybe I say it different than you, but the same
right,
thing, right?
right,
And
right,
that's that
right.
divine consciousness. That's why, I'm look, I don't believe in having fear. And if I don't understand something, I figure, with time it'll sort out. You know what I mean? I just kind of let it sit there. But I was watching a good one for you and on Gaia, Jordan Maxwell. Now he's passed. I think he passed this year because I wanted to have him on. I was like, oh my gosh! But he has a whole thing on language and symbols and what symbols really mean, and
Right.
it goes back. It goes biblical, and then it goes back off of this planet, and we're astrology. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I was always told that might not be so good and go along with the Bible. He's saying, no, that actually is why all that stuff was written in there. And I'm looking at, and also, Chariots of the Gods. Remember that book? This
Yes.
is not the one God. He said it was actually gods, as in plural. And I'm thinking, okay. And so I'm thinking, then, and I'm like, great. So you have to be willing to be in a place. Does that mean that the divine love, God, Father, Mother, God, whatever we want to call it, the creator, do I not have a love? Of course I do. But you have to be willing sometimes to be in a place of like, what's that mean? Or like, wow, how can I figure this out? So I think that the world in which we live, there's so much more, and the more that we all ask, it's going to just crumble that the labeling that Jesus said he wanted to teach me about, even starting this channel, was our own labeling of ourself, of our own. This is a pen. This is a, I mean, yeah, it's good to remember these things, but religion, or I'm not beating up religion, but there's constructs that we've set up that it's almost like autopilot, that if we can get out of these labels, because I've been not just a woman, I've been a man, I've been a reptile, I've been a lot. No, I have. I mean, I know that's not a pretty
Yeah.
word, but I was a very nice one. Okay, but no, but it's we've been a lot of things. Is what I'm saying. But our labels don't allow us to grow of ourself, and others. Fine, but that's not what hurts us. What hurts us is us not moving forward in our spiritual journey, is our own limitations within ourselves. The other person doesn't really limit us. We limit us.
Right. Yeah. Your thoughts are the creator of the material world. Your
Yes.
thoughts are creating all the time. The mind is the builder, as Casey used to say.
And I love what you said too, when you ask and for interaction, I'm a big believer, look, free will, right? So even if you need help from Team God, that's what you say, Team God, you say, hey, I need some help. So it was funny the other day, I was telling my husband, I'm like, I'm doing a lot of free stuff. I don't mind it, but I need some help with some things. Because once you ask your team, because you're busting your butt, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I couldn't I? And we forget to ask for help. They're like, hey, whatever it is, honestly, your roof leaks a lot, can you help me set this up? I'm tired of this. I need to get this handled. And when you put that out there, then it's true. You have to ask that there is a higher level consciousness, and then it attracts the precepts in your life to handle that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Religion calls that prayer, but it is just a simple ask. You don't have to buy all the dogma and doctrine. You just ask. And they're listening all the time.
They are. And I love how it just shows this connection here. So now, just to kind of know the NDE, wow. I mean, you're my new, I thought I was the poster child, but I think is you're Wendy's Employees of the Month. You're the poster child of multiple experiences, including NDEs, UFO, because I'm so happy you're speaking out about it, because this is the reality of how most NDEers are. So hopefully it'll give confidence for others to speak out, because I've been speaking out about this, not really caring if people thought I was a weirdo or not. Because at this point in my life, I'm just here for a mission. I just need to get, help the world the best I can and get it done. I don't really need to be worried about, what someone thinks at this point. And the fact that you made it so natural part of your world, because that's how I feel about it too. It's a natural unfoldment, and some of the stuff is a little crazy sounding if you haven't heard it before, but that goes back to judging ourselves. We should just let experiences move through us.
Yeah, you're saying a lot there, and there's this guy. His name's Ray Hernandez, and he has this consciousness.
He's been on here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's been on here like 3 times, and I'm actually written in his book. I got to give him one more update because it's one of the ones coming up. But yeah, he's a trip. I love Ray Hernandez.
His group, Consciousness Contact Institute or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a grant or something. They've got like 20 PhDs.
Oh, very impressive.
They're going in this direction, and he's saying all of it, the ghosts, the UFOs, the
all
ETs,
of it. Yeah.
All of it is connected, and it's all dealing with your consciousness.
Absolutely.
And he wrote to me and he said, "You're my poster child."
So I just said that. Oh my God.
He said those words. And he said, he goes, "You're taking an NDE and you're telling a alien abduction story, and you're blending it all together." And he goes, "This is what this group I'm heading up is finding out." And they've got a 5-year study, and he says it's all connected, and we're driving. And so
have you written in his book? Because I kept the whole time you're talking, I'm saying Bill's got to write this book. Bill's got to write the book. Bill's going to write the book. Bill's going to write the book. Bill's going to. They're telling me the entire time you're talking. So now I'm telling you, you need to write. Wait a minute,
you're hearing this?
No, I've heard it the entire time you've been talking. I'm connected too. So I'm going, you need to write the book. Bill needs to write the book. Bill needs to write the book. So you need to write the book, because I'm tired of them telling me this, because you need to write the book. And I know I need to finish my book. That's why I need to cut down my hours on. Love you guys, viewers. Love you.
Yeah, but you're with me.
I can get my book done.
It's hard. I had it done, and it's called Full Contact Kundalini. But it went with the NDE, and it went with the and it was really detailed about the NDE and about the follow-up with the ayahuasca and the journey down there and staying at this place Pachamama and Taita Juanito is all about that. Mm-hmm. But then in the last 4 years, this Kundalini thing just took off like a rocket. And I can sit down now and look at a wall and take a couple minutes, and all these wild beings show up. They're very energetic, and they look like, my mom would see them too. They look like, she called them performers. They have these major, huge headdresses, and it's just this energetic presentation of incredible beings. And so I see them all the time, and this has been kind of holding me back. But I'm trying to update it. I've got all these people that want, because I'm not going to charge anybody anything for it. And so there's all these people. I got this long list of people who want it, the updated version, and I keep feeding them videos and stuff to keep them happy, I think. But you're just getting this. You're getting this message about the book.
No, I'm very good at what I do. Okay.
You are.
Huh?
I've gotten that twice before from 2 other channels, and they didn't know anything about me. And they told me, that's what they told me. They said they're all standing here and they're showing me a sign in block.
Look, I'm an evidential medium and a channeler. I channel Astra, the Galactic Federation, evidentially all this stuff. Okay. Like, I don't know, the Syrian Council, different freaking saints. I didn't even know they were Catholic saints because I'm not Catholic. Love the Catholics. That's not what I'm saying. I just didn't know who they were. And I'm saying, you got people around here. First of all, my room has been full. Your room has been full. They're so excited we've connected. There's something else more going on here. I don't know. We don't need to figure it out right now. I said, I like you and I love your story, but they have been saying the whole time, finish your book. So they've been telling me that too. That's why they wanted me. They've been giving me ideas like Wisdom Wednesday to do shorter things so I can get. I'm spending too much time production, and they're saying give people things. Don't spend so long, so they want me to finish the book. So they're telling you the same message, but I will say this: I haven't. Mine's about halfway done, but it was going to go in a different direction because I hadn't experienced all these alien beings. And so, just saying, that are interacting with me regularly, including Metatron, who gave me a Merkaba. I didn't even know what a Merkaba was. Anyway, that my book, it's it's been kind of sitting there. It's halfway done, and now I'm thinking, oh, is that I had to fully own who I am and get really in a comfortable place. I got to get in a comfortable place with my strange. And I'm saying this, maybe not saying it has to fit you, but saying that, wow, I'm like in such a short time within 3 to 4 years, because people, where's the book? Where's the book? So with me, and I was a little chicken on certain things, but I'm okay with that now, my story. But it's this other part that was missing. And that's okay if I write another book. But to me, this is important to talk about ghosts, talk about spirits, talk about angel action, talk about I've seen levitations, I've done deliverances, I've seen demons, I've seen angels, I've seen, so I get it. It's a lot to take in, but now I have this whole star seed thing. It's been really positive experience. And so that's, so the fact it isn't done now, I wouldn't look at it as a bad thing. It's just maybe it wasn't, you weren't ready, you know, to like, because
Yeah.
you were still in the pressure cooker cooking, and bing, my chicken went off. So it's time to let this thing all come out. That's why we're talking today. There's a lot more of us, okay? A lot more of us. And it was Ray Hernandez who pushed me, and I met him with Dr. Von Kaysen and Robert Bear through some speaker spotlight thing we did. And they said, oh, would you like to speak? So he talked. I'm like, what a trip. He's a big personality. And then he spoke again. It was fantastic. And then he told me, you need to write this thing in mind. You need to write. And he started getting information for me. And he says, I'm here to kick your ass, is what he told me, to get going. So I guess I'm here to say the same with you. It's safe now. That's what I'm here to.
Yeah.
This is what I'm here to tell you. It's safe now.
Wow, that's wild.
Look,
Because I was watching Eckhart Tolle, I don't know, just a few weeks
Mhm.
ago, and he had an interview, and somebody asked him a question, and he said, "Yeah, okay, have your experiences," and he's supposed to share them and write your book. He's telling somebody in his audience, and he said, "But don't write it too soon." And he goes, "Let it play out," and I
Yeah,
think that you're probably need the same advice
I do. Where's the
because it
mirror?
is.
I need the mirror. There's no, what am I trying to say? There's no mistake here. This is a mirror. And not only our stories are a little bit different, right? But they're complementary. And I could tell, I mean, I've been a little shy about things, but I laugh about it because I'm thinking, really? I'm like channeling the Syrian council, Athelia, who's got a big blue head with a thing on it. And she's talking to me and she's very frustrated that the language they gave me, they're not mad. We'll just say frustrated that I'm not getting it. Said, you're the activator. You're supposed to activate it. Well, what am I doing? They're like, so I'm still working through that. I'm working through some stuff, but I never thought I'd be that person who would talk about things. And so, but apparently, I guess it was assigned in the beginning. So I secretly, indie ears tell me stuff just like ours all the time, but they're too chicken to come out. So somebody's got to
Right,
be first. So I'm telling you, they tell me stuff. Okay.
right. I
And
believe
and
it.
And plus, they can't lie because I already know stuff. So I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, So, yeah, so we're just one of the first. And so I think the time is right to, to work on it. And maybe it wasn't, I'm not saying life doesn't go on, but this part, the time people are ready, you're ready. We're seeing a lot of UFO activity because this NDE, it's just a tiny slice of spirits, and that's why we talked about all these things about like helping spirit people cross over, seeing different fairies. I've seen all this stuff. I've seen a freaking leprechaun with a long thing. I mean, a chupacabra is in the back of my yard, but an Indian keeps him away from me. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but I can see these things. And I
You know,
really don't think any of it's malicious.
I saw
Well, the
this
most part.
beautiful. If you start to daydream a little bit, you slip sometimes. And I saw this beautiful woman walking with this giant tiger, and she was walking up the walkway, and I'm like, what is happening to me? So they're there. I have these visions, but I don't. This was a 3D thing. This was like, this is happening right here, right now.
Right.
And normally I see things on the wall, and there's a lot of light involved, and the light will open, and then a
Yeah.
being will come through the light, and they'll be looking right at me, and there are all kinds of different appearances. So I envy you guys that actually get messages, because that's kind of why I keep talking, because I want to maximize this. And I want to make contact and, have a conversation.
Are you kidding? I told you when I saw my pre-show UFO in August, and there were four there, five, and there was one in front of it was red, huge. I don't know, it was a gaseous thing. It was totally UFO. I mean, like, what my husband saw, there was just, I mean, no doubt it was a craft. Okay. Um, and I had so much love for it. And I wanted to cry. I was so happy. I was so overjoyed. And it's like, how can I just tell someone that emotion? Like, why do you grab the phone? I'm like, I just really wasn't thinking that. It felt like a reunion. I was just tickled pink. I was so excited. And that's when I started doing the light codes. And then it was 2 months later, I saw the big mothership in my backyard. I went the next month. It was the same day and the same time, both times. So this winter, I was standing in a field with my husband. God bless him. I mean, people have no idea how nice my husband is. It was freezing. We're in a field. I'm like, I am ready for contact now, to be there at the same time. So I really would like for them to land because I'm ready. I'd like to hang out with them. And I know that sounds really nutty, but I have an affinity for them. Like, I actually care, you know, it's hard
Yeah,
to
that's really
explain.
cool. Yeah, it's
It
home.
is it is cool, but
Yeah,
I do. So I understand, where you're coming from, but I think they've been tracking me and following me because I see them. I'm like, where'd that star go? See, it'll be gone. I don't think, you know what I mean? Stars are supposed to stay there. They just don't, like, within 20 minutes, like, go somewhere.
right.
You follow, right? Especially if they're
Yeah,
big. And so I think that they do little things. I can't be sure. I'll get more. I know I'll get more evidence on this, but um, we are because we're paying attention and listen, and so can you if you want to. If it's a big responsibility, but they're working through us. And
right.
and and I think it's not just messages as in words, but I think it's energy. At night, I'm very busy. I'm healing people. I'm doing stuff, and I've even had strangers come up to me. And there was a guy at the gym from Mexico. He says, "Hey, I'm here. I'm a doctor. I'm working for 2 months. I saw you in my dream." I went, "Did I look like an angel?" He goes, "Yes." And you were standing beside Jesus. I said, I'm just busy a lot at night." And he goes, "It was you." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's really nice to meet you." I'm like, "Oh, but this is not the first time that's happened. And I think this is our natural state. That's our
Right.
higher self. That's our
Right.
higher self. Don't you agree?"
Yeah, there's no boundaries. There's no standoffishness at all. We all dig each other.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely true. Well, look, let this saga continue. Would you be willing to come back and let's just talk about like quantum physics and spirits and ghosts? And stuff? Seriously, would you just come back and do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, this is fantastic. And then look, everybody, it's really difficult to come out, whatever it is. It's, with any kind of experience you've had, it's difficult. And we need to support people like me and Bill. And when the book does come out, the book needs to go out on Amazon in the proper structure. They told me that. I'll tell you all about it later because they were giving me a talking to because they're frustrated with you, and in a good way, in a loving way. But they wanted more people to have access to it. But that's okay. They've been telling me stuff like that too. Um, Different message, but I'll talk to you about it later. But yeah, I'd love for you to come back so we can talk more about there's so much there. We just touched the surface. You know what I mean? There's so between both of us experiences that we've had and willing to talk about. You and I, here's the difference. You and I are willing to talk about it.
Right.
There's others, but they're chicken. I asked them when they are chicken, I said, "You're chicken." And I'm like, I can't force someone to talk. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whenever you're
Well,
ready.
I heard this years ago that our universe, our known universe, is like it's comparable to a spider web that's up in a corner behind the hot water heater in a closet, in a custodian closet, in the basement of the most incredible mall that goes on for 100 stories and miles in every direction. And inside that mall is zoos and theaters and restaurants, and it's an incredible shopping mall, video games, and just wonders that you can't even imagine. And we are just that spider web up in that dark corner of that closet in the basement.
Yeah,
So yeah, we don't
I
understand
agree.
anything about the universe, and the things you talk about and the things I'm experiencing. They're um, they're just clues, but we're
I
way
agree.
big.
Yeah, they're
We're way
clues, and
bigger.
we have to follow the bread trail. They leave like little crumbs, like they did. They'll do that to me. I'll be like on Amazon needing to get vitamins, but then I see some authors down below, and it'll usually be something really esoteric. The fact, see, people think that I'm just a girly girl. I'm actually smart, and I'm like, look at that, and I'll go, "What's that?" And they'll like, "You need to contact." Why? Who's that? I don't know. And I usually am fussy about it, and then I'll look, and I'll follow a bread trail, and maybe that author will lead me to the one in this topic. It could be as simple as that. It could be something I see on a mail, like a piece of mail, and it's a reminder of something similar. It could be on a license tag. They leave these breadcrumbs for us to follow. Don't you agree?
I agree. Yeah,
Hmm. If we just
yeah. I
pay
think
attention.
yeah, and so I think that all of us are. Nobody's more special than anybody else, and everybody on the planet is center stage. You have thousands of fans cheering you. Don't ever think you're lost or forgotten or you don't matter, because the side where we come from is, you know, like I said, you're center stage. You got the spotlight on you, and everyone's wishing the best for you. And the only thing that's different is you and I had something. Everybody has some synchronicity or something, but we said, "Give me more." We had the time or the inclination or something, but we said, "Give me more." And some of those early experiences, I've been 10 years into the crazy stuff, but those early experiences rocked my world.
Hmm.
You know, I started seeing faces on people change. I'm looking at
Seen it,
past lives. I-
seen it.
I'm I'm looking at past, and they're flipping like pages of a book, and
Hmm.
it's not just a
Yeah,
picture of a face. It's a
it's 3D.
personality.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that too.
It's
I've seen that
alive.
too. And I've also seen with attachments on them. I've seen things are weird and weird energy on people too. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a little monkey. I've seen things where I've seen someone where 7 faces came off and there were 7 entities and they were all looking at me like a card deck. And
You are
you've seen
cool.
these two. And they had different colors. It was like the movie Jacob's Ladder, way a long time ago. It kind of looked like that a little bit. And they were moving like a lava lamp, their faces. And I was like looking like, just looking like, I mean, it was very clear to me. And it was just as real, even though they were a little translucent, maybe like they weren't 100% opaque. They're probably like 75,
That's
but
right.
I could see them just like us. Like they were 3D and they were, I don't know, they weren't good. Okay. It wasn't good. But then people can, not just to end that, but sometimes people can also manifest like split personalities, and they can also be, so you can't just go for the worst. What it could be, it could also be variations of people's personalities that neurosis will cause certain things to look. I live in the weird zone. We'll leave it at that. We're going to pick this up with more fun stuff, and just we'll plan this, and we'll thank you so much. This is more than an ND. This is like Christmas morning. I mean, we got all sorts of presents today from you, Bill, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. And I feel like I have a new best friend with you.
Well, it's therapy.
It is therapy. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for today. You've been awesome. I really appreciate it. Hello,
Thank you,
everyone.
Tamara.
I hope you enjoyed part 3 of Bill Letson's Wild Spiritual Ride. Be sure that you see part 1 as well as part 2, where he covers in part 1 his near-death experience, and also in part 2 his Kundalini experience, as well as spiritual dimensions and other things he talks about. So thank you for watching. And just remember that we have Wisdom Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays, and Thursdays that I have a special friend guest interview on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So much love, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.